Hello, my name is Dr. Chris Williams, and I'm your host on Well Again. Well Again is your online health magazine program in which we look at fail-proof principles for retaining health and regaining health. You're welcome. Today we are discussing something that applies to every person on this planet, whether the person is a man or a woman, whether it's a child or an adult. It applies to everybody. Okay, if it doesn't directly relate to you, it relates to you on the immediate, as per a relative. Okay, we are discussing how to prevent breast cancer, and the title is Preventing Cancer for Real. I put for real there because there's a difference between really preventing something and nipping it in the bud. There's a difference. There's a difference between preventing something so it never comes to it never happens, and then it happens but you quickly kill it. In other words, it's better for fire not to start than to be waiting for fire to start and then you quickly put out the fire. Okay, what many people call prevention out there, what they call prevention when they talk about using mammograms for early detection, is not prevention. Early detection is not prevention. Early detection is not prevention. Prevention really means that it never comes to life at all. It never happens. Early detection is not prevention. Okay, so prevention is better than cure, but that if it is real and not just early detection. Okay, it is prevention if it really does prevent someone from developing cancer at all. Okay, somebody is wondering, so why is early detection not the same thing as prevention? Early detection is good, but it's not the best. It's not the best that there can be. The best that there can be is that cancer does not develop at all. It doesn't develop at all. This is what I mean. If somebody is diagnosed with cancer today, he does a mammogram and they see a 1 centimeter lump in his breast and they examine it and it's cancerous. That cancer, for it to have grown from one cell, cancer starts as a cell. Before it would have grown from one cell to as big as 1 centimeter diameters, it has grown from one cell to about 2 to 3 billion cells. I'll say that again. Before a cancer usually starts as a cell. Before it can grow from a cell to 2 to 3 billion cells, which is the equivalent of 1 centimeter diameter, it has taken between 8 to 15 years. Okay, so early detection at that point, mammogram can diagnose lumps that are just about 1 centimeter big. Less than 1 centimeter, mammogram will miss it. So if mammogram picks it at 1 centimeter big, that cancer has been in the person's body for about 8 to 15 years. Okay, so cancer starts as a cell, and then after like 100 days, it multiplies into 2. And then after like 200, another 100 days, the 2 multiply into 4. We call that time doubling time. Okay, so the doubling time of some cancer could be like 100 days. And for that kind of cancer, before it could have gone from 1 cell to 3 billion cells, it would have taken about 8 to 15 years. During that time, that cancer has spread to other parts of the body. That's why when many people go get treated, surgery, surgery, chemotherapy, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years down the line, the cancer recurs. And they say, but they told me it was over, that they removed everything. They did remove everything that they could see. It's just that during that time, before ever the first one was detected, it has spread to other places. So early detection is not the best that there can be. It is good. We are not doubting that. But if we prevent it at all, and you prevent cancer by making sure you eliminate the cancer environment, by creating a physiology in your body that is hostile to cancer. You see, there's cancer doesn't grow just in any body at all. Cancer grows in bodies that have cancer physiology. There's an environment in which cancer can grow. Okay, so if you refuse to create that environment, then cancer will not grow in the first place. And doing it's a long, unwinding, unending walk, and then you have to start very, very early. Okay, so preventing it, which is catching it before preventing is making sure it never starts at all. It never starts. Cancer never develops at all, and that can only be possible if we know what the risk factors are. So I'll quickly run through the risk factors. What are the risk factors? What are the factors that expose us to developing cancer? Number one, if you have a family history in a first degree relative, then you have a high risk of developing breast cancer. In other words, if your mother has had cancer, or if a sister, your sister, your sibling, same father or same mother has had cancer, then you stand the chance of developing cancer. Okay, so family history in a first degree relative. Also, early menarche. Menarche is used to refer to when a girl begins to see her period. If a girl begins to see her period early in life, if a girl begins to see her period early in life, that means she has high levels of estrogen running inside her. It can predispose her to developing cancer in life. Also, if a woman has late onset of menopause, okay, especially if she starts early and closes late. Menopause is when a woman stops menstruating. It can also predispose that kind of woman to developing of breast cancer. So the element between those two is the fact that the time during which that woman was exposed to large volumes of estrogen in her blood it was very long, and as such that woman is liable to developing cancer. Okay, excess estrogens also, when you excess estrogen can also be in the body when somebody is indulges in taking estrogen replacement therapy. You know, when women have when people have reached menopause and they are having issues with hot flushes and menopausal problems, some practitioners place them on estrogen replacement therapy, so thereby increasing. The trick is if the exposure to estrogen is very intense and is very long, it can predispose somebody to cancer. So using estrogen replacement therapies increases the chance of the woman's exposure to estrogen, and it can lead to developing breast cancer. Also, using of birth control pills, especially the ones that contain estrogen, before 35, or you use it longer than 5 years, it can lead to developing breast cancer. Also, use of estrogen and progesterone combination hormone therapy can also lead to it, and this particularly have been found to increase the risk of developing other types of cancer: gallbladder cancer, stroke, heart attack, and Alzheimer's when you use contraceptives that involve estrogen and progesterone. Obesity also exposes us to breast cancer. Obesity exposes women to breast cancer because obesity is all about plenty of fats in the body. When fats in the body are in a disproportionate amount, okay, and estrogens are made from fat cells. So in somebody who is obese, they have plenty of fat. Therefore, they have a tendency of forming a lot of estrogen in their body. Fat cells make estrogen via the aromatase enzymes. There are enzymes called aromatase enzymes that help to turn fat cells into estrogen. So when there's plenty of estrogen, when there's plenty of fat cells in the body, the person can have plenty of estrogen in the body. Also, eating high fat foods, high fat diets. You're indulging in eating saturated and hydrogenated fats can expose to cancer, and we have always encouraged against that. It's so important you stay away. Any oil that hardens or solidifies on standing, or when it is cold, it is bad oil. Stay away from it. Alcohol consumption increases the risk of developing breast cancer by 50 to 100%. Alcohol consumption. Excess load of iron in the blood. When there's plenty of iron in the blood, okay, it also increases the risk of developing breast cancer. If a woman never has children in her lifetime, or she starts having children above 30 years, okay, and then maybe she has only one, it can also predispose her to developing breast cancer. The reason behind that is this: during the 9 months of pregnancy and even the many months of breastfeeding, estrogen is low. So if you take that 9 months, add it to maybe another 1 year, during almost like 2 years of having the baby and breastfeeding the baby, the woman's estrogen is low. If the woman has 3 years, 3 children, that's about 6 years put together when she was not exposed to estrogen, to high estrogen levels. Now, if she didn't have a child, or she takes a long time to have a child, or she has only one and maybe didn't breastfeed, it increases the time she's exposed to plenty of estrogen, and estrogen is the reason behind breast cancer. Okay, so very important. Other things, excess exposure to pesticides and herbicides. In pesticides and herbicides contain what we call xenobiotics, and they expose us to they can expose a woman to breast cancer. Also, xenoestrogens. We talked about xenobiotics. There are chemicals called xenoestrogens. They are found in plastics and all these PET bottles that we use to drink water. Okay, so and some PET bottles are more qualitative, so others are inferior. They quickly leak the xenoestrogens into the water. If one is unfortunate to be using that for a long time in his life, they may predispose to developing breast cancer. Exposure to air fresheners, paints, dyes, chemicals and cosmetics and all that. Some people use a lot of cosmetics. They apply so many things. They apply foundation, they apply roof, they apply everything. They apply lipsticks, they wear colognes, all manners of things. All these things are chemicals. They chemicalize our bodies, and then they are and some people even use antiperspirant deodorants and all those kinds of things. All those position the body, create a fertile cancer physiology in the body, and they are not very good to us, for us. Exposure also to antipsychotic drugs, especially the ones that reduce or antagonize dopamine, they also expose to breast cancer. Okay, and many of them are, and that's why you see after some time the person begins to add weight. They antagonize dopamine, all right, and they can expose to developing breast cancer. Depression increases the risk of breast cancer by about 42%. Depression. So that's why, as a woman, and I've said it severally in our former broadcast, nothing is worth being unhappy for or unhappy over. That's the truth. If you have tried your best to change it, if you have tried your best and you keep trying your best, don't allow it keep you in depression. If you are in depression, your immunity to many diseases drop, and then you begin to have issues. You begin to have issues. 1 minute. All right. I had to put something in order. Now we're talking about the risk factors to developing breast cancer. What other risk factors are there to developing breast cancer? Low intake of calcium and vitamin D3. Low intake of calcium and vitamin D3. Okay, vitamin D3 is very powerful in preventing cancers generally. Okay, so when somebody isn't taking in enough vitamin D3, it predisposes them to developing breast cancer. Also, eating high glycemic diets foods that are very heavy, that carry very heavy carbohydrates, or the glycemic index of a carbohydrate talks about the load and the rate at which it pumps sugar into the blood when after you have eaten it. There are carbohydrates that pump a lot of sugar per time into the blood stream, and there are some that do it moderately, and there are some that do it very mildly and very slowly. It's the low index carbohydrates or low glycemic index carbohydrates that are the better ones. Okay, when we eat high glycemic index carbohydrates, they expose us to high insulin levels in the body, and then high insulin growth factors in the body, and such that carbohydrates are refined starches or carbohydrates that are gotten from tuber foods, cassava, yam, and all that. Okay, refined and processed carbohydrates, flour, wheat, and all that, akpu, gari, all kinds of things. Okay, so they increase one's exposure to developing breast cancer. All right, what other things? High blood levels of insulin, I've talked about it. High blood levels of insulin, high blood levels of insulin like growth factors and insulin hormone, and also high blood levels of prolactin. You're a woman, you are not breastfeeding, you are not pregnant, and water is coming out of your breast. Don't take it lying low. That's high prolactin, and you develop that breast is unduly exposed to developing cancer. Prolonged stress. Any day, anytime, stress is a killer. Okay, so prolonged unabating stress can predispose a woman to developing breast cancer. Okay, using of silicone breast implants. Some women, because they want their breast to be big, they plant silicone there. The books say silicone breast implants increases the risk of developing breast cancer by over 20 times. Okay, and then use of bras for most part of the day. Some women use bras, some people even use it to sleep. If you use bras more than 12 hours a day, your chances of developing breast cancer increases by over 113 times. Over 113 times if you use bras for more than 12 hours every day. And then especially if they are tight bras, I will recommend the kind of bras that we should be using. So what do you do in order to prevent breast cancer for real? Keep a tab on your estrogen levels. Once you are above 30. Even before 30, it's important that you keep a tab on your estrogen level. I will tell you what you should be looking for. The following conditions I will enumerate are conditions that are happening because there's high estrogen levels in the woman's body, and the estrogen level, the one that is really high, is estradiol. Let's call it a bad kind of estrogen. It has its work in its body, but if it is plenty, if it is more than it should be, it can really predispose you to all kinds of things, and then ultimately to breast cancer. If you suffer from menstrual irregularities, in other words, you have prolonged menses, or you have excessive menses, or you have too frequent menses, or it happens today, you don't see it another time, that's menstrual irregularities. Your menstruation works anyhow. It's an indication that there may be too much estrogen, estradiol, in your body, and you should be on the watch out. Okay, you should be concerned about what we are discussing. If you are also grappling infertility, you have been exposed to unprotected sex for a long time and you are not getting pregnant, it's also an indication that you are in hormonal imbalance of some sort, and such people they stand higher risk of developing breast cancer. Dysmenorrhea. dysmenorrhea, if you have menstrual pains and the menstrual pain is uncontrollable, especially the more severe, the more it's telling you that your estradiol is high and you need to do something about it. If you have premenstrual syndromes or premenstrual depression or premenstrual mood swings or irritability, just before your menses is coming, you are down, you are depressed, you have mood swings, it's an indication that you are in hormonal imbalance from estradiol. If you have fibrocystic breast disease, in other words, growing up, you have seen lumps. Maybe as a teenager, they remove one lump. After 5 years, they remove another lump. After 5 years, they remove another lump. It's an indication that your estradiol is high and that you stand a greater chance of developing breast cancer. If you have been diagnosed with endometriosis is a freezing of the pelvis area. All that place is just freeze up. Okay, it's also an indication that your estradiol is high and you need to do something about it. If you are a woman and you battle with migraine headaches is caused by high estradiol levels in the body. Fibromyalgia, if you have fibromyalgia, body pains, uncontrolled, unabating body pains, it's not malaria, it's not infection, but you just have pains, it's fibromyalgia, and muscular pains everywhere. Okay, it's an indication that your estradiol may be high, and once estradiol is high consistently, it can lead to developing breast cancer. So chronic painful tender breasts, chronically painful and tender breasts. Okay, your breast is always painful. Now, sometime around ovulation, the breast of a woman can be full, can be swollen, and then it can be a bit painful for a couple of days, and then after that it goes back. But when the breast is chronically painful and tender, it's an indication that estradiol is high and the person needs to be very careful. Okay, or you have chronic pelvic pain, your pelvis is always paining you, it may be an indication. Okay, so all these things are showing that you are in excess estrogen, and it is the estradiol type estrogen that is high. There are 3 types of estrogen in the body. There's estrone, that's some people call it estrogen type 1. Okay, and then there's estradiol, which is the estrogen type 2, and then that's the bad guy. And then there's estriol, which is the estrogen type 3, E1, E2, E3. Okay, if you go to a lab and they check all these, you do what we call estrogen profile. If they do your estrogen profile, and then you can tell whether your estrogen, whether you stand a risk of developing breast cancer by just doing your estrogen profile. You may need to write down something right now. If you take the level of your estradiol and you add it, okay, let's do it this way. If you take the level of your estrone is E1, and then you divide it by the value of estradiol plus estriol, E1 divided by E2 plus E3, E1 divided by E2 plus E3, E1 divided by E2 plus E3. If it is bigger than 1, it's supposed to be a fraction, but it's big. It's supposed to be, the normal value is bigger than 1. If it is less than 1, then there's a problem. I'll say it again. If your E1 over E2 plus E3 is less than 1, then there's a problem. The value of your E1 divided by E2 plus E3 should be less than 1. If it is bigger than 1, then there's a problem. Okay, there's a problem. Okay, or you look at it this way. In a normal woman, the level of estradiol, which one is the bad guy, that's the E2, is supposed to be between 1 and 45. Any estradiol level that is above 1, then there's a problem. high estradiol is the reason behind all the things we talked about, and is the reason the woman will eventually develop breast cancer. Okay, so very, very, very important. So you do that, you will now know whether you are at risk or not. If it is less than 1, that's if the estrogen quotient is less than 1, or the estradiol level is beyond 45, then you need to begin to work on it and do something. So what should you do besides this test that you did now? What should you do besides this test that you did? Take dysmenorrhea, PMS, all those things we talked about, take them seriously. Do comprehensive tests and check levels of your hormones at least 2 times yearly. Do comprehensive tests and check levels of your hormones at least 2 times yearly. Okay, what other things should you do? Do not take synthetic hormones. It's important to stay away from synthetic hormones, especially the ones in which the primary active ingredient is estradiol. And an example is okay, let me just leave out the example so I will not destroy people's businesses. But whatever contraceptive that you are on, okay, look at it very well. If they say it is made from estradiol, stay away from it. Stay away from it. If you need to augment your hormones, take things like DHEL, dihydroepiandrosterone, DHEA, or you talk to your doctor, and then just be careful. Okay, I'd rather you change your diet, and then you are taking some herbs and supplements that will help you to normalize your hormone. I'm very weary of asking women to go and do whether it's hormone contraception or replacement hormone replacement for some other things. I'm just very weary about it. These things scatter your body, and then on the long run they can predispose the person to developing what they do not know. There's something called a thermography. And there's a machine called a thermography machine. Okay, it's a device that uses hot and cold wavelengths, infrared rays, to check a thing, and then it can tell whether inflammation is going on in that breast or not. Okay, this device can help us tell whether something is wrong with your breast or not almost 10 to 15 years before it can develop into a palpable cancer that a mammogram can pick. I'll say it again. This device, a thermography machine, can tell that something is wrong, because before cancer eventually develops, there has been years of inflammation. Now, thermography can pick inflammation. Mammogram is very good. Mammogram is can give a definitive diagnosis about cancer, especially when they remove the lump and then they through biopsy and they do histology. Then we can really be sure it's cancer. However, before the cells ever transmute into cancer cells, and before the cancer cells are spreading or multiplying, the thermography machine can tell you that, hey woman, in this breast there's plenty of inflammation. You can see it as you are using the machine. You see areas of very hot places. It's shown in red. You can see. Okay, some Orthodox practitioners don't like it, but that's the truth. I believe we are not talking down on mammogram or the mammogram machine or mammography. We are not talking down on those things, but the thermograph machine can pick up inflammation. Okay, and I agree that the thermograph machine cannot diagnose cancer or screen cancer better than the mammogram, but the thermograph machine can screen inflammation. It can screen out that there's inflammation going on here, and once we begin to do stuff to change it, those cells will not eventually transmutate into cancer cells. Okay, so take note of that. That is important. Some people will say that the thermograph machine detects the physiological environment, while the mammograph machine will be waiting for structural differences, for a lump to form before it can pick anything. What other things should you do? Eat a lot of soya beans as different products. Soya is very good. Soya contains estrogen, but it contains plant-based estrogens that tend to balance out the bad estrogen, the estradiol. Okay, very, very good. Okay, it tends to balance it out. All right. Eat plenty of vegetables. Eat a lot of vegetables. Increase fiber in your food. I was talking to somebody recently, and I told her you should pass stools or poo at least 2 to 3 times a day. If that is not happening, you need to be worried, or you need to be concerned about it. Eat plenty of vegetables, and then vegetables will increase the fiber in your food, and then you need extra fiber: coconut fiber, psyllium ox fiber, healthy pap. Healthy pap is a product, it's a fiber filled product, and it's usually very helpful. Okay, cut back on carbohydrates, especially refined and processed carbohydrates, pastas, pastries, and heavy carbohydrates. Cut back on those things and go for low glycemic carbohydrates. Chief amongst them is oats. And if you are watching, you want to know where you can get bulk oats. Okay, we have some people who can help you get them, or who can send them to you wherever you are in this part of the world. They can send them to you. Okay, oats is very good. Less as good as oats are millets, guinea corn, and all that. Let's stay away from wheat. Completely, because of the high levels of gluten that wheat contains. So any wheat and flour foods, stay away from them. Take chasteberry. Chasteberry is otherwise called vites. It's very useful in balancing the hormones, especially when you take it alongside vitamin B6. It's very useful in balancing the hormones. Okay, you need to get iodine into your body, so you need to take iodine supplements, maybe at least once or even twice or thrice a week, depending on your deficiency. Lugol's iodine, and then you can get more iodine also through eating of kelp. Okay, and then kale also, you can get iodine. But if you don't have access to all that, you can ask for Lugol's. Don't forget, all these things, you can get them. They can be sent to you. You can be told where to get them. All the things that we're going to be talking about. And then do not forget remember to subscribe. Remember to share. Remember to tell somebody about this. And then do not forget also, these are not prescriptions whatsoever. We are just doing this for information purpose, and we're just saying it so you can know how to go about what you may be facing through right now. What passing through right now, whatever it is you are going to use. Before you use them, make sure you confirm with your family physician. It's so very, very important. Okay, also consuming of flaxseed. Okay, you get flaxseed powder, you put it in water, and then you drink it on a daily basis along with soya powder. It's very, very good. Okay, you also need to do regular whole body detoxifications, colon cleansing, and then if you are carrying any amalgams or metallic fillings, you need to change them. Your dentist can replace them with ceramic fillings for you. Okay, and then you need to do heavy metal detoxification from time to time. Take things that will empower the liver to remove heavy metals from your body. We are going to say more of those things, or maybe I should talk about some of them now. Things like miltestle, that's silymarin, like dandelion, like burdock root, mistletoe, okay, cilantro, spirulina, chlorella, wheat grass and barley grass. Greens generally, they help you to detoxify heavy metals from your body. You need to exercise as much as possible. Please, mommy, stop playing with exercise. Please, I beg you, stop playing with exercise. Stop playing with exercise. Not only because of fear of developing breast cancer, but many other diseases. Sedentary lifestyle is literally a killer. That's the truth. Okay, get on, be very active. At least exercise like 3, 4, 5, 6 times a week. Brisk walking and jogging, very, very important. You need to deal with stress, and anything that's not making you happy, you need to deal with it. You need to get over it. Even if that condition cannot change, don't let it destroy your body. Okay, when you are unhappy, your body is full of negative hormones, all these negative hormones that tear down the body. You need to cultivate more positive mental attitude. Cut back on the hours that you wear bra. Wear sports bra, particularly bras that don't have iron, and cut back when you are at home. Don't wear bras. Okay, just wear some thick shirt that can cover your nipples. Very, very important. Okay, now include the following in your foods: cabbages, broccoli, Brussels, cauliflower, onions, quercetin. Okay, you include them in your food: onions, cauliflower, broccoli. All these things contain indole 3-carbinol, and indole 3-carbinol is very powerful in making the body hostile to cancer development. Ellagic acid gotten from berries also is very, very useful in making, in dismantling a cancer physiology in the body. What are the supplements that can be useful? Grape seed extract, vitamin D3, omega-3 oil, bromelain, ubiquin, which is coenzyme Q10, curcumin, chasteberry, green tea ECG, green EGCG, green tea EGCG, ellagic acid, quercetin, and then chrysin. All these are very, very useful in developing or protecting or preventing breast cancer. Garlic supplements are useful. Reishi supplements are useful. Okay, so these are some of the things you need to go on. I'll read them again: grapeseed extract, vitamin D3, omega-3 oil, bromelain, ubiquin, curcumin. Curcumin is turmeric. Chasteberry, green EGCG, ellagic acid, quercetin, evening primrose, of course, fish oil. Fish oil is also very good. And then zinc also. Zinc is also very good in helping your body to dismantle any cancer physiology that is trying to build up. Now, as I begin to round up, I must tell you, if you have developed cancer, if it has been diagnosed that it is cancer, I must tell you and I must warn you, herbs and supplements are not enough in battling cancer. Okay, in my opinion, in order to win over cancer, you need some level of chemotherapy. That is very important. You need some level of chemotherapy. Now, there's a form of chemotherapy called the Giagin accentuation protocol. Giagin accentuation protocol is a low dose chemotherapy, and it can really be very, very useful. It gives you the benefits of chemotherapy, but it does not it withholds from you or keeps away from you the benefits of the dastardly side effects of chemotherapy sometimes. Okay, so you at least you need that. I see some people, they come to me, they say they're only taking supplements. Cancer is more stubborn than all that. Once it's been diagnosed as cancer, you need to do a lot in order to overcome it. There are several other things that people use to battle cancer naturally, like ozone therapy, pyrrole energy and electrostatic therapy, magnetic resonance therapy, okay, DMSO therapy, okay, thermotherapy, use of saunas and vaccines, use of alkaline water and alkalization, detoxification, use of colonics, and then nutraceuticals. Plenty of them, I've talked about them. So you do all these things plus the Giagin asphyxiation therapy, and then you use the nutraceuticals. The nutraceuticals are the herbs and the supplements. What do? They will ensure that there's anti-angiogenesis. Now, angiogenesis is the way cancer spreads, is that it will send a cell there, and when a cell gets to another part of the body, it starts forming its own blood vessels. And before you know it, it's more and more as he's spreading himself and itself and its family, they will have their own blood vessel, and they can infiltrate that place successfully. Okay, so nutraceuticals help with anti-angiogenesis. They help in killing the cancer cells themselves, that is cytotoxicity. They help in immune modulation. They help in potentiation of the effects of the little chemo that you are using, or the low dose chemotherapy. They help in blood sugar regulation. Okay, it takes care of all that insulin growth factor and excess insulin in the body. Nutraceuticals. That's why when people are being treated with all these things, they put them a whole lot of nutraceuticals that help them. Okay, and then they are anti-inflammatory, and then they also stop the spread. Now, all these things we are saying is just for you to know there's a way to go, sir. There's a way to go, ma'am. But we need to start early. The best, of course, is to prevent it. The best is to prevent it so that it doesn't happen and it doesn't occur at all. But when it has happened, it's usually a long, unwinding battle. But some people have won it, and you can win it also. Thank you so much. Please do not forget, we don't prescribe. We are only giving information so that you know what to do. Help us share it. Help us send it to somebody who needs it. Help us share it, and then help us subscribe also, and then also turn on your notification. Before I talk about my books, I would like to encourage somebody. I don't know what you are battling right now, whether if you are in the middle of battling a cancer or some other things. It's Jesus said, he said, "Come unto me, all you that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest." There's rest in Jesus, and Jesus is a healer. Listen to me, that you heard that cancer killed somebody does not mean that must necessarily be your portion. You can overcome it. God can put a testimony on your lips. Okay, things can work out for you. Things can work out for you, but you need to be backed by higher powers. There are higher powers there are higher powers beyond the things we see in life. Okay, the spiritual realm governs the physical. So when you need to become more spiritual, you need to connect with the Father of all spirits, the Master of all spirits, and then that way you become more and more spiritual. Okay, why not go to a church this week, and then this weekend, and then let somebody lead you to Christ there, so that you can receive this newfound faith, and then a faith that will give you peace in the middle of anything. Okay, I mean, that's what I like the most about Christianity. The fact that when the Prince of Peace comes into your heart, no matter what is falling apart around you, you can enjoy peace. He said it's a peace that passes all understanding. He said, in the world you will have tribulations, but in me you shall have victory. He said, rejoice, because I've overcome the world. I've overcome the world. He was with his disciples in a ship, and they were going across the river, and a tempestuous storm arose. And I mean, people were falling helter-skelter. Men were shouting. They were afraid of death. And the Bible says he rose up and he rebuked the wind. And he said, peace, be still. And there was a great calm. He could do that because he's the Prince of Peace. That kind of peace can come into your family today, can come into your life, it can come into your career, and it can come into your business. Thank you so very much for watching. But before you go, please, our books, Sickness-Free, Fail-Proof Protocol for Regaining and Retaining Health. Make your food your medicine. Make your food your medicine. Reversing diabetes naturally. And then reversing hypertension hypertension and cardiovascular diseases naturally. And then of course this one, reversing depression naturally. These are very powerful books. If you need them, we can send them to you anywhere you are in this part of the world. They can be sent to you. Also, if you need to get some of the herbs and supplements that were talked about, we can tell you how to get them. Just contact us on the number that is scrolling, the WhatsApp number. Send us by WhatsApp. It may take 12 to 24 hours, but we'll get to you somehow, and then we'll be able to relate. If any other information you need, just let us know. You need a blender that is strong enough to blend your vegetables, or you need a good juicer that is good enough to do your juicing, let us know. Or you need the oats that I talked about, they can be sent to you one way or the other. We are here to serve you. Okay, so help us share these things so that we will see, like I usually will say, how far we can go in trying to rid the world of sickness and disease. Do not forget, contact your doctor before you make use of any of these pieces of information. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.